consciousness and sleep. You do not have a sense of consciousness or existence in deep sleep. Why? Because there is no instrument present to articulate that experience. It is sometimes said that the sense of consciousness and beingness subside in deep sleep, but your actual being and its aware capacity do not cease in deep sleep. So, your real nature must be present in waking and sleep, these being passing phenomena. In fact, you are the pure awareness that knows coming and going of all the states of consciousness. There is some principle in you, which is you, that is there in thought, no thought, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. No word will cover it. I use the terms being and awareness as pointers to the absolute irrefutable being that you are, and skip all the conceptual verbiage. All words are only pointers, so in the end it does not matter what terms are used, because they must be discarded anyway. You're not a term or a word. The idea is to get past the words and conceptual distinctions to know yourself. Call it anything. The term is irrelevant. Being, no being, consciousness, prior to consciousness. All the words are conceptual. Before the next thought appears, you are. What you are is present and aware. This is irrefutable. That awareness is not a transitory state. If there is any knowledge of states of beingness and no beingness or consciousness, and prior to consciousness, it is only because such states are registered in some absolute knowing principle. That ultimate knowingness is not a product of the body. It was there before the body was even there, and will be there long after the body returns to the elements. My best term for your essential nature is non-objective, non-conceptual awareness. Another try, pure being beyond being and non-being. Another, pure awareness beyond consciousness and no consciousness. Basically, though, it is just you, your natural condition, prior to conceptual thought. All the language distinctions are in thought only. Before the next thought appears, you are there, and what you are is beyond all conceptual distinctions. It is vividly cognizant, solidly present, and radiant, with non-conceptual peace and clarity, absolutely undisturbed by thought. Call it anything, but you are that. A closer look at the I thought. The I thought, or notion of being a separate person, can be very subtle. If there is any belief going into such notions as I have seen it, or I do not exist, or I am enlightened, or I have it, or I am a teacher, that is still the I sense. Any reference at all to any shred of a separate or special I is just another reference point. Many have a desire to proclaim, I am now free, but you can never really say that when you see that the I is a total concept. There is no one present to be free, or to be a teacher, or have any position at all, positive or negative. Even any subtle sense of becoming, purifying, or approaching a goal is just another subtle reference to an assumed separate person or I. Even well-known teachers almost invariably fall into dualism by proclaiming themselves a specially awakened one, or implying that this is a process of becoming. For example, some say that first you become awakened and then later become liberated. Hogwash! Who is to do such a thing if there is no one to do it? Here and now, you are the truth. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Separation from immediate being, awareness, peace, has never happened. Right now, you are what is being pointed to. There's no teacher, student, or path at all, just a simple pointing to what is undeniable, your own being. That is all. The I notion is the assumption that you were some kind of entity apart from reality, from existence awareness itself. Teachers and students invariably talk in reference to the reality of the I concept. Both are playing in a conceptual illusion. Once you see this, you cannot play that game. It is so obvious when seen. But when it is not seen, whatever is said or believed, however noble it sounds, even if it be the highest non-dual verbiage, only perpetuates the false concept of separation. I was in non-duality circles for years and overlooked that everyone, including myself, was still functioning in reference to that subtle sense of self. Bob Adamson pointed this out to me immediately when I met him, and I then realized what had been missed. Even the so-called enlightened teachers I had met, even the ones who proclaimed they had no me or whatever, actually were still functioning in reference to that self-center and completely unconscious of it. I call it the enlightened ego, the self that thinks it has vanished. What I found was that in such cases, the arrogance and lack of genuine humility were usually incredibly tangible and present around such people. In seeing there is no I, there is no one left to claim anything, even understanding anything. There is just what is, who is in bondage to beliefs. Who is the entity in bondage to beliefs, you ask? No one. That is the point. It is just a conceptual dust devil swirling in the clear, bright, open, non-conceptual awareness that you are, and which is entirely free right now. Step back a moment and see that you are already what you are seeking. Here and now, you are that awareness. Do not dig around in the dustbin of the mind looking for answers and reasons for a problem that never existed. You have been falsely enamored of the mind and were giving it too much weight. Just see the thoughts as thoughts and let them be. Who even cares about the activity of the mind? Does the sky care if a few clouds blow through? Is it caught in the clouds? You have seen what needs to be seen, so just pause and be what you are. Besides, what are thoughts anyhow? Only vibrations of awareness itself. Nothing is ever appearing except awareness. You are that awareness. The thoughts are only awareness. Nothing is happening at all. If you think you are bound, stuck, or limited, look for that supposed limited entity and you will find nothing except pure, ever-present freedom itself. Look like this and any interest in the apparent mind is over with. You have been boxing with a shadow. There was no opponent present, and who would want to put the brakes on the mind activity, if such a thing were possible? Who owns that concept? That is just another self-centered story for a self that never was. A bit of clear seeing burns through these flimsy concepts like a blowtorch pointed at a few stray pieces of lint. You are not bound. Nothing is wrong. It is all a concept, an illusion. Step out of the mind entirely and reclaim the ever-present freedom that you have never lost. You are freedom itself. Everything else is a concept that has no reality whatsoever. You are the answer. You are the answer. Your own natural state is what is being pointed to. As such, you are already home. Whenever the mind settles down and lets go of its self-created questions, doubts, and issues, all there is simple clarity and peace. You do not need any techniques or pointers to be yourself. That is why they run dry. The menu is not the food, so do not try to eat the menu. Knowing that you are already the peace and freedom you seek, you can call off the search, retire from the seeker game, and let go of the pointers about who you are. You are who you are. Pause right here in the space of being what you already are, and you need nothing else. It is so simple that we overshoot the point of it all. In the pausing and being what you already are, it is all clear and evident. Once your real identity is clear, there may be a tendency to jump back into the mind and ignore the self-evident freedom that is already present. We go back into the mind for another spin, looking for answers, nursing questions, attending to doubts, seeking for happiness, or trying to define ourselves in terms of concepts and identifications. These are thoughts and beliefs that the mind presents to us about who and what we are. None of them are true because your true nature has nothing to do with thoughts. But the interest in thought seems compelling. We begin to focus on the mind and get wrapped up in the concepts and images, even though we are standing as the pure being, awareness that is already totally free. This mechanism needs to be understood clearly and deeply. Otherwise, we are forever at the mercy of every passing thought and image tossed up by the mind. Each and every conceptual story and thought traces back to the notion that you are a limited, separate self, standing apart from the deeper source or reality. This assumption, commonly called the ego or I thought, needs to be examined and smoked out, so to speak. As long as this notion is assumed as true, the identification with thought will continue. However, once the notion is examined and found to be false, all interest and belief in the self-centered concepts snaps entirely. This leaves you right where you started, as what you are and always have been, non-conceptual being awareness with no duality whatsoever. In other words, perfect peace.